Hello and welcome to Set Talks, the podcast that helps you navigate and connect with the Colorado film scene. I'm your host, Nick Fiorella, and today I'm chatting with Elizabeth Mihelich, founder and CEO of Inspired Idea Productions and one of Colorado's most respected line producers.
That's very nice.
For sure. I've heard good things. All the producers I've had on talk about you, and they have all good things to say. Elizabeth has worked on feature films like Aporia, Welcome to the Fishbowl, and Go Love Go. Today, we're diving into what a line producer really does, what it takes to run a successful set, and why this role is so vital to bringing films to life, especially in Colorado's growing production landscape. We'll also touch on her work in Women in Film and Media Colorado, WIFMCO, as most people know it by, her role as a regional film liaison for the state, and her hopes for the future of filmmaking here in Colorado.
Exciting.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for coming on here. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it. I'm excited to chat with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking me.
No worries. I've seen you at a few events, and I've been wanting to get you on here to do a deep dive. And like I said, the producers that I've had on here have mentioned you by name, and have also just in general mentioned the importance of finding a good line producer.
Yeah.
For obviously a bunch of reasons, but like if you're someone that's like a filmmaker and you're trying to get a film off the ground, your first stop essentially should be a line producer to help you map out what it's going to really take. I'm stoked to dive into this with you. But anyway, how's your week going?
Good. I've had a good week.
Nice.
Just in a couple networking events and
Yeah.
not in production or working on a film, so have time to balance my own life and
That sounds good.
do all the things, work out, and do the things you can't do when you're in production.
Sure. And a lot of stuff with WIFMCO.
Yeah.
They've got a few good events coming up this month, right?
Yes, we have a chat with a VC, Christine Sprager, Talking Finance, that I think we're going to reschedule because it's competing with a lot of film festival stuff going on, and I don't want to divide people's attention, I guess.
Yeah, a lot going on with the Denver Film Festival.
Yeah.
You mean? Yeah.
Yeah, Denver Film Festival and the Little Yellow Barn Film Festival, I think. Devin Wyckoff runs it.
Okay. Where is that usually?
I think it's at her barn and her...
Oh,
But
cool.
it's on Sunday, this coming Sunday.
Oh, nice. Are you going to go to that? Or
Yeah, I'm going to try to stop by.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, like I said, I wanted to just do a solid deep dive, and we'll touch on WIFMCO and some other just
Sure.
Colorado film stuff in general. But
Yeah.
let's just start with the basics. So
Okay.
For those who might not know, what exactly does a line producer do? You know, a lot of people might go, oh, they just are looking at the script and, I don't know, making sure that, things are being said appropriately or something like that based on the title. But obviously there's a lot
Fair.
more to it than that. Just like what does a line producer do and where does it fit in the overall filmmaking process?
Yeah. So your line producer is going to be the person who creates the budget and then helps run the budget while you're in production, watches the money, sets up all of the payroll, all of that stuff. And then they also are the person who are going to hire all of your below the line crew members, oversee your department heads, and then be that person that logistically and literally makes all of production happen. And on lower budget projects, as a line producer, you might also be the production manager. You might also be the accountant. You might also be doing permits and getting locations because you don't have money in the budget to do those things. So it's an all-encompassing thing, but
Yeah.
I liken them to like a project manager on a construction job.
Sure.
Because they're that person who oversees all those things. There's a little bit of an HR component to it.
Okay.
Like you're the person who is kind of HR on set, overseeing the crew and making sure everyone's being treated well. And if anyone has any problems, they're probably coming to you, if not a producer as well. But yeah, all of those things.
Okay. Who would you say you work most closely with? Right? Maybe you're like the producer's best friend, basically. Like.
Yeah, I think the producers initially, because they are raising the money or trying to find the money, and then the people who are saying like, okay, we have the money, and then they're the ones who have to sort of dive in to trust me of like giving me all bank account access, making sure that I can do all of the things I need to do. So I'm not constantly bothering them like, hey, can you sign the check? Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that?
Sure.
So there's a big element of trust that you have to have with your line producer and producers. Yeah.
And as far as like ultimately like getting a film off the ground, that was, I had Britta Erickson. She's
Okay.
a local producer, and that was kind of her advice for filmmakers was like,
Yeah.
if you've got a script and you're trying to put this project together, the first person you really need to hire is a line producer to help
Yeah.
you map out your budget and stuff. So
Yeah.
like, is it usually like maybe a filmmaker that would contact you to say, hey, I got this project, or a producer to kind of like,
Yeah, it could be a director or like a writer director who has a screenplay that is looking to get it made, but it's like, oh, I don't even know where this budget lands.
right.
Could be a producer that has found a project that wants to find a budget. And then, yeah, ideally, like to answer your question of where in the process do you come in, ideally, it's very early. Ideally, you are the person who's setting the whole budget, right? And so, say you have a film that you want to know what is feasible, what's realistic,
Yeah.
where do we go from here? I would then take the script, I'd tag it. I use Final Draft, so you tag all the characters, you tag all the locations, any like special effects, any like car chases, stunts, minors, things like that.
Yeah.
Plug it into Movie Magic scheduling, and then I also have to know like how to schedule. So they say typically about one page is usually 2 hours of filming. So you kind of plug all of the things in, like try to make a schedule based on locations. And then you look at everything. You look at your day out of days and see like where your actors are falling. Like, is one actor on day 1 and on day 30? And like, is there a chance to move it
Yeah.
closer or something? All of those things come into play. And then you take that, once you figure out your shooting days, how many days you need to film it, you put it in the budget, and then you start kind of seeing where you land. And I typically budget by saying like, where are we aiming for? Like, where are we trying to land? Like, are we staying under $1 million? Are we going,
Right.
are we up to 5 is fine? Is this like a 500K and under?
Yeah.
So that it's more realistic to where they want to land, as opposed to me just being like, let's do all the things.
No, sure, sure. And ultimately mapping out like just, the logistics and the order of filming based on, I'm sure, a handful of elements, which I love getting into that stuff. And I've only ever done my own film.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm always kind of just doing that stuff myself and thinking it through, and to have somebody who's very organized and whatnot would be fantastic to work with.
Yeah.
But
It is nicer to get that run up, right? But I have had jobs too, like Aporia. I was hired like 2-3 weeks before pre-production started. So I stepped into someone else's budget, someone else's plan, and then good producers and good partners will let you look at it and say like, I don't think this is necessary. And then you adjust, or you kind of fidget with it as you see fit.
Yeah, yeah. But you're kind of putting things in spreadsheets, mapping out days of shooting and all the costs and schedules associated with it.
Yeah, I use Movie Magic scheduling and budgeting,
Okay.
but there's a bunch of different tools.
Okay.
But usually at the feature level, beyond a short film, you've reached beyond a spreadsheet level. Like, you want to use some kind of a software that's going to also factor in your fringes, because that's going to be federal taxes, state taxes, workman's comp, all of that. And if you don't factor those things in, you're in big, big trouble.
Gotcha.
Because
Wow.
then you won't have any money, you'll
And
be missing it.
What was the software you said that you used?
I use Movie Magic.
Okay.
It's an Entertainment Partners, I think.
Okay.
But
cool.
there's a couple different ones out there that people like. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I am like a very like specific about like the vibe on set, and I feel like if there was a single role outside of maybe the director or the producer or some
Yep.
actor or something, but like ultimately like the vibe on set I feel like is so important.
Yeah.
And it's usually, I feel, reflected in the final result. It's like you can tell when
100%.
people had a good time, I feel like, a lot of the times making the film. Although sometimes, who knows? But ultimately, yeah, I mean, like, from the people I've chatted with, it's like you've been described as both, a type A and a, creative personality, which I feel like you would really need to be kind of, meticulous in that way to like just the scheduling and mapping out all the numbers and stuff like that. And but I don't know, how does that combination kind of filter into you being a good line producer and ultimately maybe even touching on that vibe on set, like
Yeah. It kind of comes down to So I used to work at this restaurant in Los Angeles called Asia de Cuba, and we would do these things, I think like monthly or something, called Quality Circle. And every staff member got to say whether they thought things were working and like could give kudos or things like that, or something that wasn't working. But the two rules were you couldn't talk if someone else was talking. And if you brought something that needed improving, you had to bring a way to improve it.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
And so like that's where that like type A but creative brain comes in handy, because a line producer, unfortunately, is the no person. And it's always so much more helpful when you can say no, but we could do this. And you have to have that like insight. And so the fact that I write, I also act and like have that creative side of myself enables me to kind of look at a script and be like, hey, so scene 33 and scene 52 are incredibly similar. And like this one has a cop car and a chase, and like we need to eliminate one of them. And I feel like if we cut this scene for budget purposes, you still have what you're intending because it's very similar. So it's like those aspects of being a line producer. You have to be able to go to a producer and a director and say, look, this is just outside of our budget, but here's something that I think could work creatively as well as like financially.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I would imagine even just like laying out the scenes, like in thinking through like, okay, like where, you know, or even just like actor logistics, I would imagine in terms of, okay, we got this person for a week.
Yep.
We got to fit all of that stuff into this week. And, you know, I would imagine there's all kind of curveballs that play into the schedule. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, like, for example, Welcome to the Fishbowl, we had an actor who had been involved with the project for a very long time, and then he booked a huge role, and it was like, I have this out day. And then they had to decide, do we recast this or do we try to make it work and shove all of his stuff in the first 14 days or however many days he had? And that's what we did. And it did make things logistically challenging, or probably a little different than we would have chosen to do them. But it ultimately worked.
Sure.
And that's what the director and the producer wanted. So there's those decisions. And then once you get past certain points and into pre-production, then you're going to invite an AD, right? A first assistant AD into the world. And they're going to then do another schedule of like, and I'll give them mine. And sometimes ADs will reference my schedule, and sometimes they'll just do their own thing and start with the confines of like, these are the days we have, these are the actors schedule, you know, and then those things can change. And to your question about the vibe on set, I personally think your AD is the person who sets the tone for the whole set, because they're actively on set all of the time and they're running the show. And if it seems like they don't have control or we're very, very behind, then it can cause uneasiness or other people to react in a way where they're like, oh, now I have to be the boss. And then everything gets a little crazy.
Sure.
So yes, line producers, your production team will definitely set the tone for the overall production, but on set, I think your ADs are really that person.
Okay.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like going into the shoot, I mean, do you have a certain set of kind of things that, you know, that you need to check off to like, you know, to feel good about going into the shoot so that it doesn't turn into a bit of, you know, intensity or chaos? Like, do you have some kind of, you know, when you first come onto a project, you know, what are the key things that you look for to set up the, you know, the shoot for success?
Particularly as I get older, the more experienced I get, is the story worth telling and why? Is it something good that we're putting out into the world? For me personally, I don't need to be involved in a very violent shoot 'em up, everyone kills each other kind of a vibe. You know, I think we have enough of that in the world. So as I've gotten older and I've had more experience, those things start to come into play. But just in general, as a line producer, you know, is it worth telling? It's a lot of time. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of energy. It's years of your life. And then is it realistic, right? You told me that we have a $500,000 budget, or we have $300,000, and there's car chases, there's gunfights, there's stunts, there's this happening, there's that happening. And you want it to make it non-SAG. Like, to me, that's like red flag central. And as the person who's going to be in the news if something goes bad, you know, you have to be able to be like, look, this just isn't safe.
Yeah.
So like this budget level, this script is not realistic unless you have all these tricks to do nothing practical, which
sure.
could happen, I suppose. How collaborative are your directors and your producers? I think filmmaking is the most collaborative thing in the world. I'm sure there are other things as well, theater, things like that. But if they're not collaborative and they're hard to work with,
Yeah.
you know, are they listening to me? Are they like respecting what I'm saying? Are they taking my advice? How important is their crew and like their safety? Like, am I hearing conversations of like, oh, wow, it's just like an 18-hour day? No, that's not how we play.
Yeah.
And for me now, I have rules and standards going in of like, we will not go past a 12-hour day unless it's like absolutely necessary. And at that time, we'll have conversations with everyone and be like, this is our last day at this location. Unfortunately, we need an hour or two more. We won't go past that, you know?
Yeah, totally. Are there rules around that? I mean, like I've hired for my work. I mean, maybe not quite the same thing as a film, but like where it's like they can't go over 10 hours. Otherwise we're getting into overtime and whatnot. What are the rules around that? I'm just curious for a film.
Yeah, I mean, so union is all different, right? Union stuff has union rules, and it's just a bunch of fines and meal penalties and overtime. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I try to run all of my indie features as union features, meaning like we're breaking at 6 hours to eat lunch. And then if, you know, we are going to go past 6 hours on the back end, we're bringing in a second meal, or we're agreeing that we'll pay them a meal penalty. A lot of people in film don't pay attention to like labor laws. And as someone who used to work in the event world in Los Angeles, like there's very strict labor laws of when you have to let people take breaks.
Yeah.
And so we didn't pay meal penalties on one of my films here like the union does. Like the union kind of breaks them into 20-minute segments, and then you pay like a penalty per every 20 minutes.
Oh, really?
But
Okay.
like labor law is like if you and I work in an office or a restaurant and you don't get to take your break, you get an hour of your pay as a penalty to the company. So we did that on a couple of occasions when we couldn't break, or the few people on the back end, we didn't have dinner for them, but they had to drive the truck back or something. So
Oh, I see.
I always try to follow those regulations. So when I'm starting to work with someone, how receptive are they to those things? Like if we're having safety conversations, are they just like, whatever, we'll do it? Or when I say intimacy coordinator, are they like, oh, great, 100%? Or are they like, absolutely not. We're not having one.
What's that?
What's an intimacy coordinator?
Yeah.
They are a relatively new position, kind of came around after the Me Too movement,
Okay.
where if there's intimacy on set, like a sex scene or nudity or something, they come in and have conversations with your director, your actors prior, decide how everything's going to go, help sort of choreograph it. And then on the day, they make sure that it's a closed set, that only the like vital people who need to be there are there.
Yeah.
And they essentially act as protection for the actor.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you get really into it and your director's like, oh, this is amazing. Now just take your bra off. You know, your intimacy coordinator is there to be like, no.
Yeah.
Because in that position, that actress is not always going to feel safe enough to say,
Right. No, I love
we
that.
didn't
That makes
agree
a
to
lot of
that.
sense.
Yeah.
Just like having someone that's in charge of that.
Yeah.
And rules and regulations around it for sure. No, yeah, that's interesting.
We have some
I
great
didn't know
ones
that
here.
was a thing. Okay.
Yeah, if you ever
but that
wanna
makes
document
sense.
one.
Yeah. I've never written anything with anything too crazy in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. But that is good to hear that exists. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even just like talking about like the rules around certain hours in relation to food. Like even if I am like doing a short film and we're all just getting together and it's not a non-union thing and making a film, I am like really like passionate about having good food.
You should be.
Because it's like it does contribute to the vibe on set. Like I've definitely heard so many stories of people going, they didn't even have food for us,
100%.
and like what the hell, you know, and like especially if people are just kind of volunteering. It's like, oh, it's like a 48 or something, and we're like getting together to make a film. It's like, I think it's like a courtesy to like feed people well. I've always found that it really like people really appreciate it. Just that extra level of thought. So yeah. And if you get in a professional environment, I would at least as a director be very into that stuff because it is important.
Yeah.
And especially if it's in a situation like that where somebody could be made uncomfortable and, feel like, well, there's a huge crew here and they feel like they can't say no. Like having someone there that kind of can be that HR type person makes a lot of sense. But yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, the line producer in relation to the vibe, they're often the calm in the storm. So dealing with schedules, budgets, and unexpected curveballs. Do you have like an approach to managing stress and keeping the set running smoothly? Which I had nothing but good things that I heard on Welcome to the Fishbowl. Yeah. That it seemed like it was like a great vibe and whatnot, and everyone was excited. So, but yeah, like dealing with stressful situations. Do you have kind of a checklist of process to go deal with certain things?
I mean,
or any advice?
Yeah, just preparation.
Yeah.
Getting the right team together because you're just going to be in it with these people. And now, 5 features in that I've line produced. We just did Go Love Go in Los Angeles, and it was the most fun set I've ever been on. It was flawless. We finished early a lot of the days, which was really fun. And like my UPM, my friend Julie Bersani, she sometimes line produces and I PM for her. We switch back and forth. So we've worked together a lot now. So we know the skill level. And, during that movie, and my friend Kelly was our coordinator. Kelly's also been a PM for me too. We just kept looking at each other going like, what is happening? Like, how is
because it's
this
going
so well? Yeah, like what's going on?
Good planning, it sounds like.
Yes, great planning, good team. That's a big thing. Knowing my own limitations, I've gotten into some situations where I agreed to do a film and then was like, we can handle this. And then in the midst of it, I'm like, oh, wow, this is really, really hard.
Sure.
And it's like, this is probably going to kill me. And so then it's like after that, taking stock and being like, okay, never again. I will need this position and this position moving forward.
Yep.
Regardless, because I'm only one person.
Right. And that's good to have that experience to lean on. Be like, hey, this happened to me before.
Yeah.
They told me this.
Yeah.
This is what you're telling me now. And I at least you have an example now going forward to be like, this is what happened to me last time in this regard. And sorry, but I need to put my foot down on this one.
Yeah. And moving forward. And also, unfortunately, when those things happen and then you pull them off and then later the producer's like, you did the thing that 4 line producers said was impossible is great. But then it sets you up to have to do it again.
Yeah.
So, it is the balance of like, realistically, like how should we be working?
Yeah.
And then another thing is just recognizing that the film gods always know. So like in the moment when like you're losing a location or something is happening and something is going wrong, it has always ended up for the better. Yeah. Always, no matter what. Mm-hmm. So then kind of once you get to that stage of like, you listen to the problem, you take in the information, maybe make a sarcastic joke just to help you get over it. And then you're like, okay, what do we do?
Yeah.
And then you put on your best problem solving hats. And that's, again, where you hope you've built a really good team that works with you. That behind closed doors, you guys can lament and be like, this is crazy. What is going on? And then you come out with a plan and it all works out.
Yeah. I've found that too. Even with schedules and stuff, like, oh, we film this first or whatever it is. And it always ends up, for whatever reason, working out for the better, usually in retrospect. So, I don't know. Yeah, that's an interesting way to describe it. Trust the film gods that it's going to work out.
Always know.
Well, I guess the other side of that coin would be, and again, I don't want you to set yourself up for overstretching yourself, but, ultimately, like, many of these indie productions have limited budgets.
Yeah.
How do you deliver high production value, but also keeping things in check in the numbers and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Any advice in that realm?
Yeah.
Obviously, don't push yourself too far in that realm, but it is good to kind of be creative, get the job done.
Yes.
But you don't
learn to set some boundaries.
Yeah.
My often running joke is like, I have 0 boundaries, so I'm sure we'll do whatever it takes. Eventually, I'm going to have to stop saying and doing those things. So to answer your question, I think one is choosing wisely, where do you put your money, and then realistically looking at things. Aporia we filmed in LA. It was a very small budget for the stars we had and what we were doing, and all on location. And so before I came on, because like I said, I started that one, 3 weeks before pre-pro, locations had been showing the director like all these amazing houses and all of this stuff. And then when I came in and they were like, oh, this is the cost for this house. And I was like, that's the entire locations budget. Like, no.
Yeah.
So then you have to break their heart.
Yep.
But then you get to be like, oh, but then we can have this camera, or, you just choose your money wisely.
Yeah. And there's probably ways to be creative in terms of scaling back on a budget.
Yep.
I would imagine.
Yeah. We found a house in his neighborhood that were like his neighbors that like could take our money in their in our budget level.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I think managing morale and protecting like the safety and the health of your crew is a way to make that happen on a tight budget, because then you're getting the best out of everyone on a daily basis.
Sure.
And everyone's being safe and all that. But that usually, if you can get them to buy in, that leads to high level work and not somebody just phoning it in.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Let's see. Asking for favors or discounts from people that you know. I mean, the worst thing someone can tell you is no.
Yeah.
When you're just in the same place you were before.
Sure, sure.
And then transparency. So not a lot of line producers will share like actual numbers with you. And at the low budget level that I've been working at recently, I'm just 100% transparent. I'm like, this is literally all of the money I have for your department. These are the crew members we budgeted for. This is what we have for equipment, all of the things. And sometimes if I've worked with people a lot and I trust them, I'll just give them their money and say, do with this as you wish, but you cannot go over this money.
Yeah.
This is it. Mm-hmm. And then I also always set up kind of like a favored nations for crew levels. So
what does that mean?
Meaning everyone gets paid the same. Sometimes your art director is going to get paid a lot more money than your hair and makeup lead. And I don't do that at this level. Like all department heads are going to make the same level. Your keys are all going to make the same amount, and your seconds are going to make the same amount. Everyone's making the same amount of money. So there's no, like what? How come they're making more than me?
Sure.
Because then we're all really working as a team.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's more fair.
Totally.
And it makes more sense, I think.
Do you actually, just on that note, I've always been curious, like, SAG, and this is probably a dumb question. Is that just actors?
Yes.
It is just actors.
Yeah.
Okay. And what would be like kind of the rules around crew and stuff? I would imagine there's like minimums and stuff, or is it more just you're hiring these guys as vendors, guys and girls as vendors, and
not vendors, because typically in feature world, you don't hire people as vendors. You put them on payroll, because then they're covered under workman's comp.
Ah, okay.
Because you don't want someone to get hurt on set and then everyone's in trouble if there's no way for us to pay for it.
Okay. Is it negotiating day rates or just the pay for the whole thing, or
day rates? Yeah. So typically your department heads are going to be on a weekly rate, which just means, if we work 4 days instead of 5, they still get their full week, but they're not getting overtime or doing anything like that. They're essentially managers at a manager level, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then your other crew members, mostly in indie films, are going to be set up on like a 12-hour day. Okay. So then you figure out what your hourly is based off the 12-hour day, and then you pay overtime after 12 hours. Some people will set it up where there is no overtime. I have not done that on any of my features. It's illegal, I think.
I would think, right? Like that was, kind of where I
Labor
ran
laws.
into. Yeah, you can't you can't do that.
But for some reason, us in the film world think that we're immune to labor laws.
Creative, yeah.
Yeah, we're just
all
like,
for the project. Yeah,
they'll
right.
do it.
Yeah,
There was a second part that you asked about that.
I guess just the SAG part
Union,
of it.
yeah, so-
which I need to do a deep dive on here into like SAG and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, right? Like that kind of stuff. I know there's like SAG minimums, but I've only just heard things here and there.
Yeah, so SAG has all their specific rules, and it's based on what budget level you're working at. Like if you are an ultra low budget, a moderate low budget, or the basic agreement. And then, yes, there are rules for overtime. SAG day rates are set up on 8-hour days typically. So anything after 8 hours, your cast is making overtime. The lower budget agreements allow like up to 10 hours. And then you could also set up your actors on a weekly where they're working like 40 hours before they are getting overtime. It's very in-depth, very thorough. But in terms of like crew, if it's a non-union crew, it's really kind of the Wild West. Like you should be adhering to labor laws and all of that stuff. But like I said, it doesn't always happen.
Okay.
The unions are very different. But if you have a SAG contract, you don't have to use like a union crew. And on the low budget stuff, I always encourage people to make it SAG because then you just get like a bigger pool of talent and the chance to sell it and make money is much, much higher.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, because you are so in it with like the set vibe and stuff. I mean, do you kind of have an approach to like the culture on set? Like, I feel like, I don't know if it was Cheryl that was telling me this about Welcome to the Fishbowl or another movie, but, they were basically saying they would come to set and like check in with everyone, like kind of on the, it was that Flamingo Effect film actually.
Oh, Julie.
Julie. They would do this thing where they would come to set and kind of have a check-in with people like, how are you feeling, like 1 to 10, That's
great.
And kind of as a way of like, just like checking in on how people are doing. I don't know. Do you have any kind of, in general, methods for kind of, I don't know, keeping a good set culture, basically,
Yeah, I think you always learn and you adjust. On Fishbowl, we checked in with our PAs, I think halfway through, and some of our department heads halfway through. Or actually, some of the department heads we did not, but our PAs we did. And then we realized that we maybe should have been checking in weekly and like just pulling them aside and being like, hey, where are you? Yeah, how is everything? What's going on?
Yeah.
And then it's just hiring that right production team that understands that like crew morale is kind of your job. So like your AD team and your coordinator, your PM, that's kind of what they're there for. And your line producer, it's like HR, it's like, is everyone being taken care of? Are we seeing someone's mood shift drastically than they were?
Yeah.
God bless him. Matt Larson was one of the best PAs we had on Welcome to the Fishbowl. And he one day was just suddenly really upset. And I was like, God, what was going on with Matt? Like, and it hit me like 3 days later that we had promised him he could leave early that day to go to a concert. And the day spun out of control and we didn't get him out as early as we said we would. And I just forgot. And I was like, oh man. That's like, so it's remembering things like that of like,
sure,
I know that we're working that day and, I'm here to work until the end, but I am trying to make this concert. If there's anything we can do, trying to keep those things top of mind.
Sure.
Being aware of that.
Setting that expectation too with the department heads, I think certainly is a good start, right?
Yeah.
And then that weekly check-in, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Because I think so many people are, I would imagine, especially on a feature film, are just in the flush of it. Like where it's like they're not even thinking about that. It's like, and I feel like it would probably be a situation where a lot of times you would like, when you do that check-in, they would like blink like, oh yeah, let me, you know what I mean? Like, let me think. Actually, if we could maybe try this, like, and I feel like sometimes with managing people, it's like, they don't, you just want to have that open door policy, I guess, vibe, right? Like of being able to let people check in like that.
Yes.
So yeah, I like that. That's a good point. Just kind of setting that expectation for the department heads. And then they would hopefully kind of take that into how they're managing as well.
Yes, they hopefully are. And like now I've developed like this crew questionnaire that I send out before that asks some like logistical questions. You know, what kind of car do you drive? What's the make, the model? What's the license plate? Because how many times are you on a set and someone comes in and like, whose red truck is in the way? And I'm like,
sure.
let me look. I can tell you exactly whose it is.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, but I also ask questions of like, what is your favorite snack and your favorite drink to have on set? And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure it's there for you. Do you have any allergies? Yeah. How allergic are you? And then we can tell the medic, like, hey, this person is EpiPen allergic to peanuts.
Right.
And then are you prone to any medical things, or is there anything you need us to know, like fainting, migraines, things like that? So I keep expanding that questionnaire a bit, but it comes in handy, and I think it makes people feel taken care of.
Totally. Yeah. That's another one that I've had just on, again, like where I throw together like a production or whatever. When I ask those questions, like it's usually like, oh, thank you. Yes, I'm vegan or whatever it is.
Yes.
Like, so my wife's vegan, which I think helps me with some of these things. As far as like, just being, and like if someone's got a peanut allergy or whatever, especially if it's the kind where it's like they can't even...
It's in the air.
Yeah, it's like it can't even be close to them.
Yeah, and then eventually you're just like, okay, this is a no nut set.
Sure.
I had a couple project worked on. Someone's allergic to cashews. Someone's allergic to sunflower seeds, peanuts, almonds, and I was like, okay, just we are a nut-free set. Like no one can have any nuts.
Sure. No, that makes sense. Well, yeah. Can you talk? Are there any like misconceptions, I guess, that you would touch on about like line producers that that I don't know, maybe certain people might have, like a director might have, I don't know, that, or anyone on the set might have.
Yeah. I think maybe at this level is a little different than big budget stuff. I've never worked at like huge budget levels, but so like large budget levels, line producers are going to be in an office, mostly just like crunching numbers. They're very rarely coming to set, I believe.
Oh.
Whereas your UPM is going to be the person on set managing and running your crew, and they work in tandem, right? Okay. But at this low budget level, it's like the misconception of maybe like it's not just a numbers job.
Yeah.
And there is a creativity aspect to it. And yeah, just that there's so many things that you handle as a line producer. I think that recognition of like the level of stress that your line producer is probably holding, I think, people don't think that. Or like when we worked on Aporia in California, we had all of the unions, which was my first time working on that, but we had kind of flipped ourselves into the union. So we had set up all of our contracts, all the things, and then we flipped in, which meant all of our existing deals could stand, essentially making us like a tier 0 film. But like the Teamster, the head of the Teamsters, those guys would always be like, you're doing too much. Like, you're the line producer. What are you doing? Like, you're doing too much. And I was like, who's going to do it?
Yeah.
Like, there's nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
But I also learned that that's how you win Teamsters' affection is like, if you're setting up tables and tents and like hauling things around, eventually they're going to be like, okay. And they'll come help you do it.
Sure. No, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, right. No, and who else is going to do it? And it's like you're sitting there going, this needs to get done, or
we're not eating, or things are in trouble.
Sure.
Let's see. I think that another common misconception is like that we just love saying no just to say no.
Okay.
I hate being the no person.
Sure.
But there's no way that this is getting done if like I'm not that person.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
that makes sense.
Always a fun job.
Yeah. You don't want to be the dream killer or whatever, but ultimately it's like, but how are we going to, do this?
Yeah.
It's like, let's think realistically here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Okay. Well, that makes sense. That's all good. That's good. Well, yeah, I mean, like as far, and I'm coming from the place of being a filmmaker. So it's just far as like, emerging filmmakers versus like seasoned pros, What advice would you give to like a new producer or director, in terms of collaborating with their line producer? Like, I mean, is there maybe like even before that first meeting, like if I came to you with my, my zombie feature film or whatever it is, it's like, what would be the things that I should be like prepared with to have that first meeting with you and ultimately like make you as a line producer feel supported in your role, and communication and.
Yeah. I think just being willing to leave your ego at the door and like have the conversation. And, if you're like, well, I thought we would use like a 35-day shooting schedule. And I'm like, with $700,000? No. I think having the recognition of like what is realistic and, not just being like, well, we're doing it no matter what.
Yeah.
Ultimately then I'll just be like, best of luck to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So the people I think that make the best partners are the ones who listen, take advice. I think part of the reason Go Love Go went so well, it was one of my first experiences where everything I said to them was fully respected and followed, Like when they're like, yeah, but we need this money for this. I was like, we have to hold it because I don't know what permits are going to shake out right now. Like, yes, there's a potential we can move this money to post at the end. But right now we got to get through production because if we find ourselves in the place, where we can't pay people, I don't ever want to do that.
Yeah. Sure.
And that's a lesson that I learned too, is like, you never go until the money's actually in the bank. Because then if it's not all there and you start and it doesn't get there before you need it, then you got to pull the plug or you have to be in a position where you can't pay people. And I will never be that line producer.
Yeah.
I will never, ever be that person.
Right. Which I've heard about films like that, like, and I'm from Cleveland. This was in Cleveland, but like where it's like, people are being paid or whatever, but ultimately I've heard stories of, situations where they kind of, I don't know if they ran out of money or what, but yeah, ultimately they were kind of playing this guilt trip on the people involved to say, hey, you really need to be a team player and I don't know, get paid
terrible.
later, I guess. And it was just like, I was telling my buddy who was talking to me about this, like, you should just, have a lawyer send them like an email, or something like that. Cause that's not, that's not fair. Like, I get it. It's art and stuff and we're all passionate about making movies, but also
it's a job though.
It's a job, work-life balance. Like, yeah, you can't do that.
It's a profession. And so then that means if that's happening, someone's not listening to somebody lied to somebody.
Right.
Or they went in knowing full well that they didn't have enough money to complete the project and they were hoping they'd get it before.
Right.
I mean, I've never been in that position. I can't say that I would. I mean, I think it's pretty well known that Fishbowl, we did a full month of production or pre-production. And then the person who was the investor didn't put the money and we had to stop. Oh. And then it got picked back up a year later, which is like kudos to Cheryl and Yana because that does not happen. I think even Sendil Ramamurthy had said in one of his interviews that like in 30 years as an actor, he's never had one come back that fell apart until Fishbowl. So if you're getting to that point where like people are not being paid, something has gone awry or somebody's being shady. And then that's where that like transparency that I spoke about earlier comes into play.
Sure.
Like you've seen the budget, and then a good line producer is going to have a cash flow too of like, on this week, we need this much money. And, we have to then start paying payroll. And, if you're getting money from people in like droves, like your cash flow has to be met, if it's being transferred from other accounts or things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is kind of just a side question.
Sure.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just curious because it's like from a developing a film standpoint.
Yeah.
I mean, do you ever get hired to just take a look at the script and put a budget together, or is it always all encompassing?
No.
It's like different sections of the production.
Yeah. So I get hired to do budgets all the time.
Yep.
especially now, the more I've become known and things. So, a budget can cost anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000, depending on what level you're working at.
Yeah.
I usually develop like a friend budget, or a discounted rate, or like, hey, pay me this now and then defer it. And if your film ever gets financed, pay me that when it goes.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of money out there waiting for films to get financed.
Okay.
But it's a way to help people too. So yeah, I will usually have people send me a budget or send me the screenplay first, and then I'll look at it. And if it's like something that is pretty easy or that I've done before, then I'll base my rate off of that. And then if it's like something that has an element that I've never done or that's going to take a lot of research or is going to be exorbitantly much more time,
Sure.
I'll base my rate kind of off of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that happens all the time. And then I've started to, if I'm doing like one of those favors and, doing a budget for $500 to $1,500, then I put into my little contract with them that I get first right of refusal to be the line producer when the project goes.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. That's cool.
Right. So
yeah, that was kind of the advice I got from Britta was like, for a filmmaker, it's like, I don't even want to look at your project until you have a budget. And to have a budget, you need to work with a line producer to map it out and actually put what your budget should be together. So like, almost as maybe that's kind of one of the first stops as a filmmaker. Once you've got your script, it's like, okay, hire a line producer and let's map this thing out.
Yeah, I think if it's in a good place where you're like, okay, this script is strong enough, that it's in a spot where I could move forward to that. Yes, that's definitely a next step, because then once you're going to go try to find financing and seek financing from people, you have to be able to speak smartly about your film.
Yeah. And
it is show business. And the more that you know about that aspect, like the smarter you're going to seem and the more that someone's going to want to give you money and trust you.
No, absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, you can't just be like, hey, I have this great script, but not sure where we're going to land. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, and in terms of short films too, like, so I've like line produced, I think like 13 short films at this point. That's sort of how I got my start. I did all of those before I launched into features.
Okay.
So I haven't done one in a couple of years, but I usually say it, per shoot day, it was like usually about $10,000 a day is you're paying for locations, you're paying your crew a pretty good rate, you have food, you're paying your actors. That's like usually a good basis.
Okay. All right.
So if you have a 4-day shoot, you're probably looking at like $40,000.
Okay. All right.
Give or take.
Well, that's a good, just benchmark number.
Yeah.
And then I guess it just depends on other logistics. It's like, it's like if I'm making a zombie film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Extras,
then you got a lot
makeup, I don't know, visual effects.
Yeah. Yeah. And sure. Then, once you get to that place too, then you're like, oh, but I have a donated camera package. And then you're like, strike off the camera rental, then you can kind of work from there. But if you have no favors, you're paying people, all that stuff, it's usually about $10K a day if you're going to do it all right.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, thank you. Yeah, I've always been curious about that, so I appreciate that. That's a good rule of thumb to think about. And I know you work with WIFMCO, and you're also the film liaison for Fort Collins?
Northern Colorado, so I call it Larimer and Weld County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe just too. I mean, if you could just tell me about your role at WIFMCO a little bit, and ultimately, how that plays into being a line producer and.
Sure. Whatnot. Yeah, so I'm the programming chair for Women in Film and Media, Colorado, WIFMCO. So I develop all of the workshops and educational opportunities that we offer to our members.
But you guys do such a good job.
Oh, thank you.
So you do a fantastic job with that. Thank you. It's worth the membership, hands down, just the events and the workshops you guys put on. I would encourage anyone to go become a member. It's
Thank
great.
you. Yeah, it's, so with that, like the educational opportunities, I have the ability working as a line producer in Colorado to sort of see, where are we lacking or what do we need to up our game in a bit. We're in a very exciting time in Colorado right now. This emerging film market with Sundance coming and more eyes are going to be on our state. We're going to get more opportunities to have projects come here. So I sort of utilize my role as programming chair to fill in the gaps of like, oh, we could really use a first AD workshop, or let's do this workshop because I'm seeing this miscommunication on set, or kind of things like that in a very loose, broad manner. And then in terms of like the regional film liaison work, it's a lot of talking to people about the crews that we have here, that we have very capable, very talented crews that are here, and actively trying to impart on people to hire local crew instead of bringing in all of these outside people.
Yeah.
It's cheaper. It's more cost effective because then you don't have to house them or fly them.
Yeah.
So I get that possibility and that, well, I guess I get that opportunity to speak to outside producers as the regional film liaison about those things.
Yeah. And you're working with the film office on that, right? Like,
yeah.
So
So
like you
volunteer position as a regional film liaison.
Yeah.
But through the film office. So often they will kick us emails of like, hey, this production company is thinking about doing a dating reality show in Fort Collins, and this is what they're looking for. Who do we talk to? And then I just have to be like, who do we talk to?
Sure.
The more that, I've lived up there for 3-4 years now. So I'm learning and always like assessing and figuring those things out, or reaching out to people in the community who've been there a long time.
Sure.
That can help answer those questions. So those, I think, are both ways that like my work as a line producer kind of feeds into all of those things.
And in a way, you kind of touch all levels of production as a line producer. So, yeah, I mean, and obviously your work with WIFMCO, it's like, I feel like, you perfectly placed to, effectively run that role. And also, like, I don't know, get wind of certain productions that might be going on and let different people know, like, I don't know, in WIFMCO about it. And just, that's awesome that you do that.
Or even, I mean, my one example for the longest time was Chloe Smith is a local who works in the camera department, but she came to WIFMCO a couple of years ago and joined us, and she came to every single programming event I had. And then just kind of knowing her and then learning more every time she came, learning about what she wanted to do. And then when Fishbowl came around, I was able to plug her in as a camera PA on our camera team so that she could learn from those professionals in that team. And like we had an all like non-male camera team.
Yeah, that's Fishbowl, what I heard. Yeah, that's
which
awesome.
Is really awesome. And so I strive for those things as a line producer as well, like that gender parity. And that is something that WIFMCO is also. That's the purpose of WIFMCO, is to advance women, non-binary and transgender, people of color, all underrepresented folks in their achievements, in their job opportunities, and their advancement in their career, I guess. So that lines up very closely with what I do as a line producer. And I've been that way since I first started. Like, I have stats on my website of all of my short films, I think, of like what the gender breakdown was. Like, I had this many crew members, this many were men, this many were women. This is the percentage. Mostly just was tracking for myself.
That's cool.
But it's something I really, really try to do. And in a small market like Colorado can sometimes be difficult, but you just have to remind people that there are other choices out there.
Sure.
Than the folks who've been around a long, long time.
Nice, yeah. Which always leads to just a better environment. Mine have always been a very diverse group, although it hasn't been something that I was like thinking about. It just, which hopefully that means I'm coming from the best place. It's like I wasn't really thinking about it, but ultimately it did end up being like a very diverse group that we would make these films with. But it is something that, like, I didn't even know what that Bechdel test was until
Alicia.
Until Alicia explained it to me. And now I see it all the time where I'm like, well, that doesn't pass, as I'm watching this film and stuff.
Yeah.
And it is good to just have in the back of your mind when you're making these choices and stuff. I agree.
If you're writing or...
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, hiring people, like, constantly in all those Facebook groups and things when someone, like, asks for a cam op and then I just see, like, 25 men and then I just hop in and I'm like, hey, what about this gal? What about this gal? What about this person? What about this person? Like... just trying to like lead by example of like, hey, just remember we have these other options as well, and they're great.
Absolutely, yeah. And it contributes to the set vibe, I feel like,
100%.
If it's like all men and like one woman or, it's like, it's going to be better if it's a more diverse group just in terms of the vibe and stuff. And and no, I love that. And same with like Cinefe, they, Stephanie is very like into that and cultivating that discussion around everything that they're trying to do. And, and like you said, I think we're in a very interesting time in Colorado, and I'm really excited when I talk to different people that are very much in the thick of that that is top of mind, that's really exciting.
It's great. And people are always learning, right? I had a PA that worked on Fishbowl that went and worked on a different feature. And then they came back to me and said, like, the vibe was so different because it was male heavy. And they're like, I didn't realize. And I was like, yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah. But it's a thing.
It is a thing.
I've seen it, like, just in different work environments.
Sure.
And no, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also you're just going to get a better pool of different ideas and perspectives and stuff. I think it's always going to be, good. And helpful.
It leads back to that collaborative aspect, right?
Yeah.
And like, yes, different points of view and different life experience and
for sure.
Yeah. And then it just makes it more fun. You can
totally,
hang out, make a lot of new friends.
100%.
You can flirt if you're not a boss, if you're not up in a position of power.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Well, on the note of like, the Colorado film scene, and I meant to ask you, are you from Colorado?
Oh, so I was born and raised in Pueblo.
Oh, cool.
And then I went to college in Greeley at UNC.
Okay.
And then when I graduated that, I have a theater directing degree. I moved to LA to be an actor, like right after graduation, like a month later.
Oh, cool.
And then was in Los Angeles for 20 years before I came back.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I really love Pueblo.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think I like it. I mean, a lot of people that are from there are like, oh, but I'm from Ohio, and there's like a lot of steel towns around there. Yeah. And it just was like, I was like, oh, I don't know. I think it's kind of cool.
It was a great place to grow up, for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
And it seems like there's a lot of things going on down there. Like,
They actually have a very strong film community down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was some good vegan options, which my wife and I were driving through there, and we hit some vegan options at this food hall. And
oh, yeah, that's newer. The food hall's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's growing.
I like it down there. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, when you talk to people that are from there, they're like, I guess. Okay.
Well, the land of nothing, sure.
Yeah, right.
No, don't come for me. Like Puebloans.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Can you just talk about the kind of the film scene here and how it's evolved over the years? Because through doing this show, it's like there's a weird history here that I was not aware of. And I'm an outsider. I'm from Ohio. I moved here 7 years ago. So I've been here a little while. But like, yeah, every time I'm like, that I hear about some, discriminatory things that sort of have affected the film community.
Oh, you get all the tea.
I'm always like a little shocked. Yeah. And usually I kind of, and I don't mean to laugh. It's like, but it's like, oh shit. Like I didn't realize that happened, and it's like, oh damn. Yeah. What's the tea on that? Like,
dang.
But yeah, I don't know. And maybe not so much focused on that, but in general with work.
Tell me everything,
unless you want to get into that,
what is it?
I won't stop you. Well, I've heard in the 90s they passed this very discriminatory law against like LGBTQ folks.
And Hollywood left.
And all of these people pulled out of Colorado. And there used to be a bunch of films and television that was done here, and like Stars had an office here, and that happened, and a bunch of people pulled out, and I think it's limped on ever since.
Yeah, I think so too. I've heard that as well.
From what I can tell, from what people tell me.
Yeah. I've heard that as well, and I was like, oh, that makes more sense.
Right.
Than the incentives killed us,
Yeah.
Because I think had we still been trucking along and a lot of movies had still been filming here when incentives started, they probably would have been like, oh, yeah, let's get in on this game, and we'd be in a whole different place.
Right.
But as it stands right now, even from when I came back, in 2021, I've seen so much movement just with, when I first moved here, it was the tax incentive, which was a cash rebate, and it was based on what the overflow was. So like the first year I moved back, there was $6 million in the pool for the tax credits for films, and I worked on 5 features that year. The next year, it was $750,000 was what we had. And then there was no work that year.
Right.
And then now, we've been able to get it up to $5 million and
for the 5
consecutive
years.
for 5 years,
Yep.
which is great because that's consistency. A producer can be like, oh, if I go film there in 2027, that is still going to be there.
Right.
So that's all been wonderful movement.
Yeah, yeah.
Ariel Brackfeld, Deputy Film Commissioner, now
yes.
our interim film commissioner, has been doing amazing work, and I've been able and blessed to work with her because of the Regional Film Liaison program and Skylar in that office.
Yep.
And
I had Skylar on here, and I'm trying to get Ariel on here. Maybe like first quarter kind of.
Yeah, she lives in Grand Junction.
Oh,
But
okay.
she's traveling now more because she is now our interim film commissioner until they do the official hiring phase in January, I believe. But so I've seen a lot of growth. And then one thing when I noticed when I first moved back was there was a lot of really negative, angry folks. But when challenged of like, what are you doing about it? They were like, nothing. I'm like, well, great. So nothing's ever going to change.
Right.
And now there is, the FEMCO initiative leading these town halls and
Yes.
CFVA and WIFMCO and all of these people who have moved here recently are partnering with the people who've been here for a really long time to do what we can to like move the industry forward together as a state.
Yep.
So that when this explodes, I'm not going to say if, because I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. Like when we become a filming hub, we'll be ready for it.
Yeah, totally.
And we all will benefit from it.
For sure. Yeah. I'm so excited. Yeah. I
It's
just had
so
Shauna
great.
in here yesterday actually
she's
to
my
record her episode about that town hall.
Oh,
And
great.
Yeah. Oh man. I'm going out of town on Friday and I can't go to it. I really wanted to go. And I wanted to go to that summit that they did.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I was
that was
out of
great.
town for that as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm really excited to kind
Yeah.
of see where it all goes. And then, and a lot, it's like a lot of people say, it's like, I don't think Sundance is going to save us. But, it's really awesome to hear about that initiative and that, and people like Noah Smith, the president of the CFEA, just kind of having that perspective of like, it needs to be us that lifts it up.
Yep.
So that when these opportunities do present themselves, we're ready for it. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, we don't need Sundance to save us, but I do think it's just going to shine a light on Colorado. It's going to bring so many more people here to see like our beautiful scenery, all the diverse scenery that we have here. Once they meet all of the Colorado people, they're going to be like, God, those people are so nice.
Yeah.
And I think once that money comes in from Sundance and the industry, it will tangentially help get us more money for those other tax incentives because people will see it. And as much as it sucks, I think you have to lean into the glitz and the glamour of Hollywood in order to like get to people and then have them listen to you.
Sure. Yeah.
'Cause when we went to the Capitol to listen to the legislature and like see it go through the finance committee and like I remember watching some man who was from like Weld County way out. One of the guys was just like, why would I give all of my constituents hard-earned money to like this Hollywood director? And it's like, that's not what's happening. I think he even said like, why we're just writing $1 million check to Coach Prime. And Ariel was being questioned and she was like, that's not how it works. Like there's an audit process and they have to have this many crew and this many that. And like, we're not just writing checks to Coach Prime.
Yeah.
And he was like,
Well, and the financial impact, I think Shauna had mentioned, it's like for every dollar spent, I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but it was like 16 or 18 bucks or something. Like it's kind of the return on investment. And obviously there's a lot of places with just crazy tax incentives where it's like, absolutely. It has a great impact on the economy in Colorado. And so, it's totally worth it. I guess we'll see with like how it gets over the line in terms of like
Yeah.
the film commission, and who knows what's going on behind the scenes to be able to even have a seat at the table to have that conversation.
Yeah.
But
I think we'll get there. And as a line producer, I can speak to exactly how many segments of like a community it touches too, where the money goes.
Right.
You're paying for hotels, you're paying for food, you're paying for gas, like location rentals, like all of the things. It just hits so many sections of the economy, and people just don't fully realize.
Right.
They just think it's like, oh, we're giving a tax break to millionaires for no reason.
That are coming and leaving, essentially. Right.
And they're also forgetting that, when we were in that room at the Capitol too, it's like everyone wore a blue shirt and it was like a packed room. And it was like, these are all of the people who are asking you to like give us jobs.
Yeah.
Like it is the crew, it is the below the line people who just want to be able to live in the state that they live in and work there too.
Yeah.
Without being gone for so long.
Right.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Yeah, I'm very hopeful. I'm excited to see where it goes
gonna be
and
great.
what impact Sundance has. But ultimately, I think we do need to rally together and make this work. And I couldn't be more excited about everyone involved with Shauna and the town hall. I think just even having the conversation, I think is going to have a huge impact. And And boy, she's sharp. I love it.
Oh,
she's
she's
killing
so
it.
great.
Yeah, totally.
And just to see it extend from last year to where it is now, too, and the fact that it's moving forward, and that this year there are 7 cities instead of the 4 that we had last year is pretty cool.
Totally.
5 that we had last year? I don't remember. But yeah, it's pretty amazing. And I think Shauna and all of us who are leaders in the state, too, definitely feel a lot of that, like, we can't do everything. Like we need people to step up and help us like continue to carry this forward. And the more that we find people, the more exciting it is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause they're going to have, unique specialties and things that they understand more than like I do or Shauna does or Julie Jackson does or.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's going to be great.
No, absolutely. Yeah. FAMCO, the new acronym. No.
Yes.
And then also WIFMCO.
We have
Everything you guys are
FAMCO.
doing is amazing.
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
I was saying that to Shauna, but everything that you guys do at WIFMCO, I think is amazing. And thank you so much for doing it. I know it's probably a lot of work, and it does really make a huge impact. Just as somebody on the sidelines, as a member,
Thanks.
Thank you guys so much for all the work that you do. It's really great.
Yeah.
Well, just to close out, how can people follow your work, maybe connect with you? What would be the best way for people to follow your work and connect with you?
Yeah. On, I guess, Instagram.
Okay.
I guess even TikTok.
Okay.
All of my things are an inspired idea.
Okay.
And then I have a website, elizabethmihelich.com.
Okay.
That's Mihelich.
Yep. And I'll put the link in the description.
Yeah. Yeah. And then in terms of WIFMCO, my email for WIFMCO is programming@wifmco.org.
Okay.
And then my Northern Colorado Regional Liaison website, which I am now calling the Northern Colorado Film Collaborative, is www.nocofi.co.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I will include all those in the description.
Thanks.
And I will have to make sure I'll take a look at all those. And thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it. I know you drove out from Fort Collins. Thank you so much for doing that. I will look forward to seeing everything that you guys do. I'm always trying to go to the WIFMCO events and whatnot.
Thanks.
And maybe I'll have to work with you once I get my script finished for my crazy zombie film. You'll be the one to probably tell me, dude, I don't know. This is going to cost $5 million. But anyway, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for asking me. It was really fun.
Cool. Well, this is Set Talks, the podcast that helps you navigate and connect with the Colorado film scene. Thanks for tuning in.
Here we go.